You're listening to the Never Heard of It podcast,
a Night Shift Radio original. Every week we bring you the good,
the bad,
the weird,
and lesser known streaming movies.
Hit subscribe for new episodes every Thursday and Sunday.
Sometimes I don't hear your clap.
The noise reduction kills yours every time. I don't ever hear it.
That's interesting because I saw it at the same time as mine, but all I heard was just like the weak sounding single clap in an echoey room, and it's like, oh, that's a very sad sound.
Yeah, the noise reduction kills claps, and if you laugh loudly, it kills that too. You just silence out.
I've actually noticed that, like, sometimes when someone particularly makes me raffle, it'll say, like, noise, like, reducing noise or something like that. I'm like, yeah. Listen, you judgy bitch. Google Meet.
They need to hear me in all my glory. So brand new show came out on Netflix just last week, and now for you those listening, this came out last week.
I'm so out of touch with Netflix.
I know. Well, so here it is. So the new show is Beef, which stars Ali Wong and Steve Yuen, which is phenomenal. Listen, so this is one of A24's like first big TV series.
I just saw a trailer,
and it very much
this.
Feels like an A24 series, especially towards the end. It gets very. You're like, oh right, that's who's making this series.
I love both of these actors in the mains. I love them so much.
Oh my God, like top tier performances of their career, in my opinion. Like this is one of the best shows I've watched this year, and I would be really surprised, if anything beat this out aside from The Last of Us.
Wow.
But like this is just for a comedy series, like this is it. Like this is, definitely one of the best shows I've watched in a long time, but specifically this year, even though it's just started. So the series is actually directed, who is the showrunner, Jake Schreier, who Jake did a lot of other stuff that I did like. So he was the director for Minx, which was on HBO.
I loved that. It was a great
really
series.
Like that. He was the director for Brand New Cherry Flavor, which was on Netflix, and that show was weird as fuck.
Heard that.
That was very, very weird. He also directs the series Dave. I haven't watched it, but I know that people generally enjoy that. Mm-hmm. And he's done a couple of other things aside from that are pretty noteworthy, but these are the big ones for that. But there's a lot of really good people on this. So like the main writer is Lee Sung-jin, who he did Undone. He's a writer on Dave. He was a writer on Tuca and Birdie. He was a writer for Girl Boss. What else? A few other things on Two Broke Girls, Mothman, It's Always Sunny. So like, he is he created this series. So this is from him. So Ali Wong, stand-up comedian, Steve Yuen, everyone knows from Walking Dead and Nope and stuff like that.
Fantastic actor. Both.
It's just phenomenal. And they both do such a really good job. Like this is really Ali Wong showcasing her acting chops. She's very much known for those comedic roles. Mm-hmm. She had a few moments in Suicide Squad, James Gunn's Suicide Squad, where she kind of got to act like a normal character, but she's only in it for like a few minutes.
Yeah.
And then of course she was in Paper Girls, for a few bits. And that was another one where I'm like, why is she not in more of this show? Like, this is so good.
Yeah. That just having you bring that show up just makes me sad all over again. Because I really enjoyed the first season, and then just knowing that's never going to be finished.
It's never going to be. You have to jump to the graphic novel. So the story of Beef is insane. So Ali Wong plays a character named Amy Lau, and Steve Yuen plays a character named Danny Cho. And basically what happens is Danny, he's down and out. This is episode 1, right? This is all shown in the trailer as well. He's down and out. Episode 1, he's just, you could tell like he is done. Like he is done with life. He goes to back out of his parking spot at a grocery store, and Amy Lau's truck, SUV is kind of like driving by him. She stops because he almost hits her. He stops. She slams on her horn and holds it down for a really long time. Finally drives away, sticks her finger out the window, and gives the old F you to him, to which he chases her down because he's in this like everything sucks. It doesn't matter. Like, I'm going after this person. So off he goes. They get into this road rage incident where they're chasing people, chasing each other down in their cars. They like wheel over somebody's garden who catches it on his ring cam. They finally like almost run into each other, and like it's a whole ordeal, and she gets away and he's like, fuck. And basically the plot of the show is how that simple incident escalates and escalates and escalates to the most insane things I have ever seen happen. Like, it escalates. This is like, you miss a trash can and like a million pigeons die. Like, this is the equivalent of like, that's the jump that it makes from like this really stupid road rage incident to like the most insane shit possible. Amazing. And I fucking loved it. It was just every episode I was like, what the fuck? Oh my God. I was like, what the fuck is going on? It was just, it's really written very well. You get to know and feel for each character. Like, it comes to a point where, at the end of the series, I was kind of like, I don't know who to root for. I feel for both of you, but you're both literally insane. Like, there is nothing sane about either of you. And like, there's no way that this turns out good for either of you. You're both literally insane. And I freaking loved it to death. It was such a fantastic show. Ended really crazy. I don't know if they'll ever get another season, but if it does, I will, midnight start watching that series.
That sounds fantastic. I actually have kind of a bit of a direct connection from that, because I was looking at James Schreier's IMDb profile. Jake Schreier. Yeah, thank you. As an aside, he's directing the upcoming Thunderbolts series, which is interesting.
Yeah,
but. He directed the 2015 adaptation of Paper Towns, which stars Cara Delevingne. And Ellen and I just finished this week watching the Hulu series Planet Sex with Cara Delevingne, which I won't dive too deeply.
That's on Hulu?
It is on Hulu, yeah.
I thought it was on HBO for some reason.
No, it's a Hulu original. And it's I want to say 6 episode. Let me just confirm that real quick. 6 episode miniseries where each episode breaks down an aspect of human sexuality, gender expression, attraction, things like that. And she's she's traveling the world, speaking to all sorts of different diverse voices and people in various communities about their experiences with their own sexuality, with their own gender expression. It's really, really fascinating. I personally, having been on my own journey of exploration for the last several months, really appreciated the episode on gender identity and how that has manifested in cultures throughout history, and how that manifests now, and how different people explore it. And this underlying theme throughout every episode is Cara as a model and an actor, and like very much in the public eye, never feeling like she had the freedom to explore her own gender and sexuality. And that like really just becomes this recurring theme as she's hearing other people's stories and trying to process like, what does this mean for me? And I love that, it's a docuseries. There's no storyline, no resolution. It's not like at the end she's like, and now this is what I am and who I want to be, and like I know everything. And like, it's an ongoing exploration, and I think it's really great. And I think honestly, is the kind of thing that really anyone should sit down and like really try to learn and understand. For fair warning, as the name might imply, there is some nudity and obviously some sexual experiences, but it is not like overtly sexual, and there's not like a shit ton of nudity. It is really focused more on the individuals and their experiences, and it's not just like, how do we get porn onto Hulu?
Right.
So for anyone who might be curious about that, it is reasonably safe to watch in most company, and then obviously your own discretion beyond that. So yeah, that's my direct connection to Beef.
So before you move on, the Cara Delevingne part where she's discovering her sexuality directly influenced the last season of Carnival Row, because in Carnival Row, the whole series, like all of season 1 and most of season 2, is about her and Orlando Bloom getting together. But in the spoiler in the very end of the series, she ends up with another female fairy, which is really interesting because like it didn't make sense, as much as I'm like, good for them.
Yeah.
But where did this come from? Because it was like, it's with another fairy that we knew the entire series, and we never really see them like getting flirty or anything like that. It's just all of a sudden she marries her, and you're like, what? But you guys were married. Like, I don't understand.
Huh.
It was very weird, but I remember reading that it was about Cara Delevingne being like, no, I'm not going to, play it straight anymore.
That's fantastic.
That's it. So it completely changed the ending of Carnival Row to match that discovery from this docuseries.
Good for her. Good for her. And yeah, like she has a lot of moments of introspection, of like exploring the masculine side of her, and like her like fluid sexuality. Before I move on, I'll point out there's one like really incredible experiment that they do, where they get two people. In this case, it was Kara, and then a person who identifies as a cis male. They sat on facing each other, but with a curtain between them, and put on VR headsets. And the VR headsets fed them the other person's POV. So like, they look down and they would see that person's hands, their body and whatnot. And this whole experiment was talking about how you can kind of trick the brain into changing its perception of things, to where like, someone would walk up to them and like touch hands with them to give them the sensation that like, yes, what you are seeing is connected to your body, and like basically rewiring the brain to accept this, to the point where when they remove the curtain and see themselves through the other person's eyes, it's this like life-changing experience. I'm like, I want to try that. That seems really fucking cool.
That's like the experiment where they put the fake hand, and then you put your hand over like a thing, and you hit your hand with a hammer, and you wince, or whatever.
Yep.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting.
It's the same idea of like changing the way your brain perceives the world around you. And it's particularly cool for people who do experience gender dysphoria to think of this idea that like you could essentially body swap with someone who has the gender that you identify as, and like trick your brain into like actually feeling and experiencing being in that body. And like, that's really, really fascinating. And then this moment, like where they just like hug each other and just hold each other. And it's like this really powerful moment. It's like, I loved it. It's just really, really beautiful. But along more of the lines of popular culture, almost immediately, within minutes of us stopping recording last week on our episode, Ellen and I went to see the Dungeons and Dragons movie.
It's been getting crazy good reviews.
I honestly could not believe, like I was cautiously optimistic just based on like the initial reports that I've been hearing. Like, first of all, when I read that the cast had apparently done a campaign before filming, I'm like, okay, so someone understands the importance of these characters, these actors, not just playing characters, but understanding the world building and the RP elements, and like what the combat is actually going to feel like. All of these different elements, like they're taught, if they didn't already know, which I would be shocked to learn that several of these players, people didn't already play D&D at some point in their life, but like you're being taught all those important elements. So when I learned that, I was like, okay, so they're taking it seriously. The cast is absolutely bonkers. Like, I think you and I were talking about this the other day. It's like, there's no way that I would look at this and think like, yeah, Hugh Grant is who I expect to play a roguish thief in a D&D party. Yeah, absolutely, that tracks. But like, no, he's phenomenal. But yeah, so the earlier reports were good, and knowing that it's almost impossible for it to be worse than the other Dungeons and Dragons movie that we covered back with our D&D party. Like it would have been like an aggressive effort to make a movie worse than that. And so with such a low bar, I went into it just hoping it would be fun. But my goodness, without spoiling anything, the cast play their roles perfectly. You get a read on like what their player class is, and like kind of what their experience level is, and the combat mechanics feel like a real-time version of what a turn-based combat feels like. There is a moment where like you watch a wild-shaped druid shape-shifting in like rapid succession, and you're like, well, you can't do that in real combat. But then you realize, oh, she shapeshifts, she moves, someone attacks her, it's their turn, then it's her turn. She shapeshifts, she moves, someone attacks her. So it is actually a rotation of turns.
That's really clever.
But it's done so fast that it feels very natural and very fluid and very like, like on the surface, very not D&D. But when you look at like break down how the scene actually works, like shit, that is 100% D&D mechanics. And so that is, I think, the most glowing recommendation that I can give it is that it truly understands the world of D&D. There's some like real deep cut references that they're definitely fan service, but they don't feel like pandering. It feels like, again, like this is just fleshing out this world that, like I'm not even that familiar with, and I recognize so many of this. So people who are deep into the lore and who played for decades, I think are really going to feel right at home. I really loved it, and I haven't heard anyone say yet that they didn't. So for our listeners out there, if you were on the fence about it, I think absolutely go see it first chance you get.
Totally. And if you're super into D&D and game design and stuff like that, you want to listen to our show, Fourth Pillar of Play.
It's true.
It's great. Josh and Talon are the host of that. They're basically designing a whole campaign, a whole world and characters and, and monsters and stuff like that. They've done such a great job of building the world of Eldorach, I think it's pronounced. Pretty awesome. Check out that podcast, The Fourth Pillar of Play. Super easy to find it if you just go to nightshiftradio.com. It's right on the front page. Easy peasy. Find your streaming. It's funny we're talking about Dungeons and Dragons. I forgot to mention there's a really funny scene in the show Beef where one of the characters' husbands ends up cheating, but he more specifically gets, as he calls it, an emotional entanglement, where he ends up entwining with this girl. He says that they don't do anything physical. We, as the audience, we don't know. But he says he doesn't do anything physical, but they just got emotionally entwined and they fell in love with each other. And as he's describing this to his spouse, he's describing like how everything happened, and he's describing in a very like ethereal cosmic way. And she's like, "This isn't Dungeons and Dragons. I don't need the lore. Did you fuck her or not?" And it was an absolutely hilarious scene. It's very tying into all of this, and that's pretty great.
Nerd references.
Nerd references. Absolutely great. Yeah, so we've got a brand new episode coming out this Sunday, Die in a Gunfight. Again, all of our episodes this month are available on Hulu in America as of time of recording them. Die in a Gunfight, like we said, is on Hulu. So if you're the type of person that watches movies before we review them, that's where you can go see it.
Do it.
Otherwise, just listen to our review and determine whether, if we liked it, you want to watch it. If we hated it and you want to watch it, I don't know, whatever your thing is. I know there's some critics that if they hate a movie, I'm like, I know I'm going to like it then.
True.
Because like I know that critic and I know the taste they have, because that's how you should follow critics. You follow the ones that have similar taste than you and not just everybody, because you don't know.
Right.
It's their personal opinions interjected into the idea of the movie. So you got to follow the ones that have similar taste than you, or vice versa. Follow the ones that have exact opposite taste than you, and you get the same result. You get to go to a movie you actually like. So there it is. So, if you're watching on YouTube, hit that subscribe button. We have brand new episodes every Thursday on YouTube. For those of you podcast world, brand new episodes every Thursday and Sunday. Sundays being our full movie review. Thursdays basically being the Hey, What You Watching episodes. So thanks a lot for joining us, everyone. Make sure to share this out with everyone. Leave a rating and review. You know the deal. You've listened to podcasts. You've watched YouTube videos. You know what you need to do. And we would appreciate it. So thanks a lot for joining us. And we will see you next Sunday.